Hi, this is Jonathan Rotz, field agronomist with Pioneer, and as we talk about getting 10% better, or just getting a little bit better across your operation, let's continue some of the discussion about fertility. We're going to hit real quick on the top three, N, P, and K, but we'll take them piece by piece. So let's start first with nitrogen. Nitrogen obviously is the largest used nutrient through the plant that we apply, right? So nitrogen, the trouble with nitrogen, what makes it so hard is it's not persistent. It's a very leaky system. There's three main methods to have nitrogen loss. There is volatilization, which we talk a lot about. There's also leaching and denitrification. So volatilization would be when we apply nitrogen to the surface and it literally gases off through a process of volatility. We won't go into the details of how that happens, but we've heard a lot about this in the past, and we have great products that can keep that product from volatilizing. But realizing that that has to be surface applied, not incorporated, and we typically have to have some relatively decent heat to drive that volatility. So obviously surface applying urea, things like that would be a high potential for volatility, especially later in the season whenever it's warm. However, my biggest concern is actually denitrification and leaching, especially now because we continue to move more and more of our nitrogen earlier in our season, putting it on with planters, things along these lines, and we're doing a better job of doing some things that would limit volatility, like streaming it, whether that's a 2x0 out the back, whether that's, side dress with stream bars out of your sprayer, or even incorporating it, things like a 2x2 on the planter or something like that. Strip till would be another example of incorporation. When we do this, we eliminate that volatility, but now we have to hold that nitrogen for a longer period of time to make sure we get it to the most critical stages of that plant's development when it's using the highest amount of nitrogen, which is later vegetative and through reproductive, as you can see here. When we do apply early like this and have to have this long period of time, that opens us up for these losses of denitrification and leaching, which both happen not in the ammonia form, which we typically apply, but in the nitrate form. So some of the ways that we can get away from having this open to loss is actually keeping that product in the ammonia form. There's products out there like Instinct that will do that for you. As we do that ammonia form will bind to the soil. The soil's got a negative charge, the ammonia's got a positive charge, they'll stay together. Both those forms of nitrogen are plant available, but as we're applying earlier in the season, if we can keep it in that ammonia form, we keep it there longer. The reason that this is so important is because nitrogen is so critical at so many stages. It's part of our protein synthesis. It's going to be bound up in the plant and become a very structural part of the plant. It's also huge in aiding in chlorophyll production. It's all these different things. It is used a lot in reproductive. So we have to keep it there season long. I hope that this little overview of nitrogen has been helpful and informative to you. There's a lot more we could go into. Feel free to reach out to myself or your Pioneer sales rep for more information. Thank you and have a great growing season.
That concludes this Pioneer Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.